It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Jalen Long leads Wallace to the rim on Jokic. Dunks with the left hand. Cason Wallace posterizing the big man. Timeout Nuggets. Oh, an exclamation point. Elevation. Posterization by Cason Wallace, fearlessly attacking Nikola. He scaled the big mountain from Serbia and has Oklahoma City up 78-57. That was spectacular. Iverson kicks left wing to Dub. He wants three. It's online. Give it to him. Cha-ching at Thunder money ball. And those are finishing touches, baby. Thunder get 24 from Dub. Shea now has 4 assists, and they lead at 111-76. Fires a three straight away. It's online. Tumbling in there. Cha-ching at Thunder money ball. SGA's got 35, and the Thunder have a Game 7 win. Up 114-76. 7:40 left. Timeout Thunder.
Timeout Thunder, yeah. I think you got to do it like Locke. He names the coach. I can remember one time he was calling the Clippers, Timeout Vinny Del Negro. Oh, man, it sounded so much better than just Timeout Clippers. Now, you got to go, in that case, Timeout Adelman's son.
Well, they said the Thunder called timeout there because Dagenalt was taking the guys out of the game. So timeout Mark Dagenalt.
Oh, yeah, Mark Dagenalt. Can anybody spell that name?
No, couldn't.
I mean, it's impossible.
Couldn't if you made me try.
The little bitty market OKC Thunder. OKC behind SGA. That's the key. You just got to have 3 letters. OKC, SGA. We got to come up with something around our way. The Nuggets get hammered. Their season's over. Now we'll see if Adelman's son can maintain his job as interim head coach. And what's that guy's name? Dagenalt?
Dagenalt.
Yeah, man.
He's locked in.
For sure. Now that series starts tomorrow against Rudy Gobert and the Timberwolves. Not Rudy Gobert's significant other, apparently. I only know what I read. She won't be involved. But they will play Game 1. Interesting that they start on Tuesday in the East, who last played with the Knicks on Friday. And the Pacers before that don't start till Wednesday. Because you had Aaron Gordon talking about thinking that his hamstring and Steph Curry's hamstring, that maybe it's because they're playing every other day and they can't take it anymore. I think, all the old-time players groaned when they heard that. Back in the day, sometimes they'd play consecutive days on a Saturday, Sunday. And Aaron Gordon, who was, he gave it a good try. You got to admire his toughness, but they didn't have it. They were up 10 or 11 early and then get smoked.
It was 21-10 in the first quarter.
Yeah, thought, maybe we got something. But no, that thing went away. By halftime, it was, 12-13, something like that. And the second half wasn't much of a game. I was flicking around and not spending a whole lot of time there on that rainy Sunday afternoon along the Wasatch Front. How about this? Celtics, they were eliminated by the Knicks. I just said that. Boston Star forward Jaylen Brown had a partially torn meniscus, but he still played. But they didn't have anything. They got smoked. Disappointing in terms of the levels of competition the last 2 NBA games. And Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy Jr., who got to the NBA on his own merit, not the fact that his father got him there, like so many of them are fortunate enough to do, said the franchise would like to bring Jonathan Kuminga back, but it's a 2-way street. Yeah, you don't want a 1-way street. You want a 2-way street. I was driving one time. I'll give you a quick little story, Yak. I don't want to name the name. I don't want to embarrass him. But back when I was working for the Salt Lake Tribune, we were in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I went out to eat, covering basketball, University of Utah. And I was with the Deseret News writer at the time. And he was driving the rent-a-car, right? And we went in. It was in the winter, obviously, in basketball, so it gets dark early. And we're in the rent-a-car after eating, and they're down. It's real cool downtown for anybody who has been there. I always enjoyed that trip. And they had a lot of nice restaurants down there and all that stuff. So we're leaving, and he pulls down a one-way street the wrong way. Well, there's a policeman right there. And it's dark, right? Because it's like probably 6:30, pitch dark in the winter. He pulls us over, and we really just moved over to the side. He comes up, and the D News writer, it's dark. We're in a rent-a-car. He can't figure out how to hit where the button is to lower the window. The cop's getting all hairy.
The cop's like, you're going to roll down your window, right? You're going to do that right now.
So there's only maybe a minute or two until he figured it out. And you didn't know when didn't have, this would have been the 90s, so you couldn't put a cell phone, put your flashlight on or what have you. So it was funny on that two-way street we were going the wrong way. But the law enforcement officer was cool and said, okay, just turn around. So anyway, the 22-year-old Kuminga is said to be a restricted free agent. I wouldn't think he would command a ton. I mean, the Warriors had 3 draft picks, and they really haven't hit on any of them. They had 3 high picks that could have extended their run if they would have drafted the right players. But Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga's decent and still only 22 years old, so maybe he might command something. Maybe there might be some type of sign and trade there. We'll see. There was a lot of talk of marketing, wasn't there? That was the Warriors last.
Yeah, they were chasing marketing last year, and if you believe the reports, Kuminga was the holdup in the deal because they did not want to part with him.
Right. So I think that if they want to make another run, now they got Jimmy Butler, with both Butler and Curry getting old, that Larry Markin might be something that they would be interested in. I think he would be a very nice player on that team for sure, better than what they got. And maybe Kuminga can develop. He would fit more along the Jazz timeline. We'll see what happens on that. We'll keep our eye on that in the coming weeks as that stuff begins to heat up. But there you go on the NBA. The games get started tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, 1 game a night now going forward as we're down to the final conference teams in the conference finals for the East and the West. All right, let's move on to the NFL.
Hashtag NFL.
I mean, I'll be there. Not to do a podcast. Yeah, I'll be there.
That is not the right audio. We were going to tell you about Puka Nacua, and he had said something about Brock Purdy. And the Niners, they make it official. They give him a 5-year, $265 million extension, making Mr. Irrelevant, because he was the last pick of the draft a couple years back, more money each week during his new deal than he made in the first 3 years. Wow, good for him.
Made 2.7 in his first 3 years as an NFL quarterback and made 2.9 on average a week.
Now, he can buy himself a house in Scottsdale if he wants now. He's a Phoenix kid.
I think he'll be okay.
East Valley kid, went to Iowa State. Friggin' that dirtbag Herm Edwards, who destroyed ASU's program, tried to say that, they recruited him when he made it big. But that Cartman, who we had on last week, no, that's not true. You did not recruit him. And then he goes to Iowa State and has a nice career, gets drafted, and then blows up in the, what, was it his rookie year? Then so this is
he was a rookie.
Yeah,
and
right.
he's going into his 4th year with the franchise.
Good for him, man. Can move up from the Chandler area to Scottsdale. Did you see? Was that Tyler Shuck guy? Who's he with now? New Orleans.
Drafted by the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, and so you know how they have the cameras in their home when they're drafted. Did I tell you this story?
No.
That so he was an East Valley kid over in the Chandler Gilbert area, also. And when they had the house, when his family was, when he got drafted in the second round by the Saints, it said Scottsdale, Arizona. And then somebody from the Phoenix area said, oh, man, NIL is really paying off. He went from the Chandler area to Scottsdale.
Got a little bit of an upgrade.
Yeah. Scottsdale, a little north of Chandler, and is a higher-end area, obviously. How about this? Longtime NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown was briefly detained by police early Saturday after an altercation in which gunshots were fired outside a celebrity boxing event in Miami. No arrests were made, but the video posted to social media showed Brown involved in a fight with several people at the boxing event, and Brown was seen apparently holding a black pistol as he pursued someone. Shots could be heard off camera. Oh my gosh. Antonio Brown finds himself in a scuffle again. What's next, Tyreek Hill? I still want to know how come there's nothing around Grant Hill. Somebody explain that to me. How come Grant Hill's over here just living his life, and these guys, seems that, man, they just got bad luck over and over and over again.
Grant Hill has to run all of USA basketball, so leave him alone.
Yeah, well, he is left alone. What's going on there? Why does one over here but the other's over there? It's an interesting study that I've never been able to figure out in my mind. But fortunately, no one died, and no one, I think, was hurt. And we'll wait for the next Brown. Antonio Brown has a lot of stuff on Twitter. He tends to be funny, depending on what your sense of humor. What your sense of humor was, and he was a very good player, obviously. The Bears search for a new stadium has shifted once again to Salt Lake. No, the franchise once again is focusing on a 326-acre parcel that they own in Arlington Heights. Now, you have a 326 parcel of land. I mean, what could it be? A parcel?
Sorry.
Parcel of what? It has to be a parcel of land.
326-acre parcel of land.
But just a parcel of land. I mean, but it can't be a parcel of water, you see?
Good point.
It has to be actual literal land. That's in Arlington Heights. So they were looking at remaining at Soldier Field in addition to Arlington Heights option. Want to start building ASAP, which means as soon as possible, I believe, as the team is exploring options since buying the Arlington Heights land in 2021. Now, oh my gosh. All I know is the Coyotes had the same thing, and we know what happened there. Come on down, Caleb Williams.
Salt Lake Bears?
I'm sure the Bears are an institution in Chicago, and they will get something ironed out there, however long it takes, but they want that as soon as possible, and I do not blame them. All right, let's move on. We're only, what are we, 5 months away from college football starting? Oh, can't come soon enough, right? Well, we'll tell you about some college football news right now.
Hashtag college football.
The money's out. Now, this is the 23-24 academic year, not the 24-25, so it's a year behind, but those are the most recent documents available. ACC, $711 million, according to new documents released by the league, distributing an average of $45 million to each of its 14 full-time members, a record for the conference. Now, the Big 12 paid out between $37 and $41.2 million to full-share members, with BYU, Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati making about $20 million last year. They're getting half shares. So, all right, Yormark, you're the genius. You don't want the ACC making more money. Now, the Big Ten and SECs of the world are making almost double that, right? But not quite.
Going to be. The SEC for this same period, the SEC distributed $53 million, but that's before this new media rights deal kicks in.
Right.
Now, the one thing to note on this, PK, is that the tax documents for this indicate that the ACC was almost stagnant in terms of overall growth. So if they continue to stay stagnant, the Big 12's new media rights still kicks in this year, which should see them surpass the ACC.
Well, they got to. You got to at least keep pace and probably better than the ACC, and you got to figure out a way to narrow the gap as much as possible from the other two. You don't want them running away and hiding there. And when is BYU, man? They're freaking tied for first. Basketball, oh my gosh, you got Dybantsa going to Latter Day Saint Church on Sunday. What was that about, Yak?
Brother Dybantsa, let's go.
Oh, man, alive. I'm going to say this right now. If he joins, I'll go to their church.
You're in? Okay.
I will. Yeah.
Right.
If he, mark my words.
I'll save a spot for you on the back row.
Yeah, no, I'll be right there on the front row, man. I'm no Bob Uecker. I'll be on the front row with the head listening intently to everything that is being said. Hey, all I'm going to tell you right now is over the weekend I was extremely grateful for the moisture. Are you kidding me? All right, let's move on to baseball.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
1-2 again to Brandon Lau with a runner at second. Swinging a high fly ball belted deep to center field. Straw back to the wall. Gone! Off the batter's eye. Brandon Lau with his first multi-homer game of the season. His 7th home run makes it an 8-3 Rays lead in the 9th.
The 1-1. Swing, and there's a drive.
It's not exactly the right stuff. Yak said audio issues, but that's baseball, so you're not going to know one game to the next. a full slate as we wrapped up rivalry weekend in the MLB. Did you happen to see they had the Yankees and Mets, of course, the rubber match of that Subway Series, and it went to the Yankees. You see Alonso's throw there?
Yeah.
Did you happen to see? So, what was it? 2-2 in the 8th inning. They got runners on second and third. The Yankees do a hit to first base, and they got runners going from third to home. And Alonso threw it practically in the third base dugout. Man,
how about an airmail?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that was so far up the third base line. The catcher did not even move to make an attempt. And then Goldschmidt gets a hit, and then Bellinger hits a grand slam, and that was all she wrote. 8-2 as the Yankees win that. And then on the other side of the country, a little closer to us, how about this? The Angels, not one, not two, but 3 wins. The traditionally, at least perennial of recent times, lowly Angels knock off the Dodgers. It is the first time the Angels swept the Dodgers in 15 years, Yak. 15 years. Oh, my gosh. You were still prowling the streets of Orem and BYU looking for that eternal sweetheart 15 years ago.
Yes, I was. I was 23.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness gracious. And now...
I was interning here 15 years ago.
15 years later, they get another sweep. The Dodgers. Ooh, not good for my Diamondbacks because the Diamondbacks are in Los Angeles starting tonight. We'll see if the Dodgers have some meanness and want to take it out on the Dodgers. Now, Saturday, the Diamondbacks led the lowly Rockies, the suckiest of all sucks that ever sucked. The Rockies. They led them 11-6. Team that has less offense than RSL somehow won 14-12. DJ was talking about this the other day. The law of numbers then goes back to the mean. And the Diamondbacks the very next day score only 1 run after scoring 12, but in this case they win. They beat the Rockies 1-0. The Rockies do not score at all. Merle Kelly struck out 11 in 7 innings. So I was watching that game, my Yak friend. This is what's trending is what is meant to be, not simply reading scores. That bring in some other stuff that maybe they do not know because they already know the scores that they care about anyway. So Kelly's cruising along, and they take him out after 7, so he doesn't get the complete game. Did you know that in 1970, this comes from Bob Nightingale. I read his weekly column, a baseball writer for USA Today. In 1975, pitchers overall threw a complete game, guess once in every blank starts. What would you think it would be?
1 in every 3.
3.7.
Okay, so almost 4. Okay.
Yeah. So basically every 4th game was a complete start. Now, from 75, he has it down there every 10 years. In 85, so 10 years later, it jumps up to 6.7 starts. In 95, it more than doubles. It goes 14.7 starts. Then in 05, 25.7 starts. 2015, 46.7 starts. 10 years ago. What do you think it is now? Pitchers complete the game in blank starts on the putting them all together.
I feel like I'm going to underrate this. I'm going to say like 25.
247.
See? Okay. So Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
For the Pirates, he did a complete game yesterday, even though they lost.
He lost, so he only goes 8.
Yeah.
But it's still a complete game.
Yeah. But it's a 1 in 247?
Yeah, that's what it says. That's what he had.
Goodness.
1 in every 247.2 starts. So your bullpen better be good. That's for sure. And you talked about Skeens, the hard-throwing stud and future New York Yankee probably for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He loses 1-0 to the Phillies. And Phillies, Jose Alvarado, their closer. He's a big dude. Can stand to lose some weight. And apparently, if you listen to what he said, he was using some weight loss drug in the offseason, and he gets popped for a banned substance. He's out 80 games, which would put them into the middle of August, but under the rules, he cannot pitch in the postseason. That's a major loss for the Philadelphia Phillies because he was really good. Hard-chucking left-hander. And now he is gone. Oh, my gosh. And speaking of sweeps, and that classic rivalry from the bottom of the West Coast to the top of the West Coast, the Mariners sweep the Padres.
How about the Vetter Cup, the Eddie Vedder Cup, or trophy, whatever they call it. I like it. Mariners are rolling right now. I'm just waiting for the inevitable, month-long collapse.
Well, they're on top of the AL West, and, that division. Watch out for the Rangers, and, you got to take a look at
Houston.
Houston is where I was going, and I know they've had a managerial change and all that stuff, so we'll see what's happening there. And they lost Bregman over to the Red Sox and got Christian Walker to play first base out of the Diamondbacks, so you got that going on there. So, and the Bees lost 7-1, Sacramento Rivercats in their series final. Now, the good thing is they open a 6-game homestand tomorrow night against the Omaha Storm Chasers, and they're not going to be chasing any storms, it looks like, because we're into Memorial Day weekend already, or week, I should say. The weekend is the end of the week, obviously, and it looks like the weather is going to be finally turning after a week of crap. We're going to have some sunshine, and the Bees coming home, a great opportunity to get out there to the ballpark and enjoy that new stadium over there on the west side. All right, let's move on to soccer.
Sal.
He's absolutely a competitor, and again, I think that's what we need. We need personality in that attacking third, and obviously, 70, we talked about it last game, where in the, 70th minute, he was running on fumes. Then you go into this game, about that time, he wasn't getting near the ball, and just felt like some fresh legs could go in. And it's a gamble to take, and that's why I didn't take it at home the previous game, is because right now, Diego's the most goal-dangerous player we have. But I felt like we were getting the ball in good areas, and felt like some fresh legs might be able to do the trick.
That's Pablo talking about taking Diego Luna out in the 58th minute. The team can't score. They're scoring less than DJ in high school. That's just a fact. And they lose 1-0. Oh, 1-0, excuse me. 1-0. My bad. 1-0.
1-0, yes.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And they got to get something to go. And I don't know if it's going to go anytime soon. And they take him out, and he's their what did he call him? The best goal scorer?
Goal-dangerous player they've got.
Goal-dangerous player, yeah. And RSL 4-8-2, man. They're sucking. And the Royals, 3-3 tie. But you got to say draw. You can't say tie. Cannot say tie. Oh, my gosh.
They gave up a 102nd-minute equalizer, PK.
The equalizer in stoppage time. To me, it's playage. I don't understand. You're not
playage,
stopping.
Stoppage, yeah. Okay, good point.
So there you go. That's your soccer.
#golf.
6 feet for birdie here at 14 to get to 11 under par, and he nailed it. Sound travels better across the water. They can hear that all over Quail Hollow. Birdie for Scotty Scheffler here at 14. He's up to 11 under. That was a great putt. The king of golf conquers the Queen City at Quail Hollow. Scotty Scheffler is a PGA champion.
Scotty Scheffler winning his third major, first time beyond the Masters. He's got 2 of those, not this past year, but or in past last month, but before that, the prior 2 years. And he struggled a little bit, but goes and wins it running away. Johnny Rahm, what do they call it? What is those last, the Green Mile or whatever they call it?
The Green Mile, yeah.
Yeah, he struggled there. Scotty Scheffler. Is he now the greatest Scotty professional athlete of all time? Has he passed Scottie Pippen?
There's an argument to be made.
Got
there.
any other Scotties?
Trying to think.
Any other Scotties on board?
Of course, he'll never outdo our good friend Scotty Gerard, but...
Yeah, but nobody calls him Scotty Gerard. They call him Scotty G.
Yeah,
this
Scotty
is just
G.
Scotty. Is he the best Scotty right now?
Absolutely, right now.
Yeah,
no doubt.
we got Casper coming up at 8 o'clock in about half an hour to talk about that. All right, let's move on to the hockey, and we'll finish.
#NHL.
There's Jones, Greer left circle, shot, save wall. Greer the rebound in front of Chance, and they score! Jonah Gadjevich makes it 3-0 Panthers. What effort in front of the net, and Jonah Gadjevich there to jam it in. The Panthers lead by a trio with 10:21 to go here in the second. A turnaround shot, they scored! It's Reinhart from the high slot. He lets it rip. He wasted no time, and the Panthers have a 5-1 lead with 10:36 to play here in the third. Sam Reinhart adds to the lead.
Oh, man, Sam Reinhart, yeah, 6-1. The Maple Leafs lose, and the Florida Panthers advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. Now, the joke is that Toronto is the only place in North America where the Leafs fall in the spring. Seen that. And the Stars beat the Jets, so that is the Dallas Stars over the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg goes down. They had the best record, but it don't matter. They gone. Looking forward to playoffs in the King City, which is Salt Lake City, if Charlotte is the queen. All right, what is trending? Brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. No job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, we got Casper at 8:05. We're going to do TCU football. Steven Johnson at 9:05. And then Sam the Bam, Sammy Farnsworth of KSL TV. He's going to join us at 9:30. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Now, every team has been assigned a Heisman contender. Here's the dirty secret about BYU. Its best offensive player barely got to play last season. LJ Martin has serious ability when healthy. Is Aaron Roderick comfortable enough having a guy who will carry the ball 23 times? And I love this pick because that means that BYU will be centered around the run first, and then everything else can come from that, and I think that's where they're going to have a ton of success. The best thing that can happen to Jake Retzlaff's career
100%
is LJ Martin.
Yep.
Not just being healthy, but the run game being healthy, and the run game getting 5.5 per. That'd be amazing.
Your first best friend is a tight end, but another best friend is that running back, because if he's doing his thing, it makes things a lot easier for you. It's a lot easier to find guys open because defenses are keying on the run. So that would be very important for BYU.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Hands and Scotty G Tuesday from noon to 3 at Sound Sleep Medical. That's at 8941 South 700 East in Sandy. That's not too far from where I live. Maybe I'll go over and take a nap. The besties will be out and about tomorrow. Yeah, hot takes or toast. All right. We got the conference final set. What do you think, people? It is your Minnesota Timberwolves versus my Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah. Are you jacked for that? What do you think? Young people, middle-aged people, old people, how you hanging on? Where are you when it comes to this series?
We're in a Salina. You're welcome.
Where'd you come up with that one?
I don't know. I just picked a random city. Salina came to mind.
That was a good one. I'm not even sure where that is. I've heard of it.
Central Utah. But
do I see it off the freeway, off I-15?
It's on one of the signs on I-15. You head south. You see Salina.
I can't picture where it is.
You actually have to drive off I-15 a ways to get
right, I know
to
you don't see it, but I don't know where along the head south or coming up north do you see that one, but I've seen that. So I put that up on Facebook, man. 2 out-of-the-way markets. Is this good for Utah Jazz fans? Utah Jazz fans? You can do it. If OKC can do it, why can't you do it?
That's got to be the hope.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have that hope. If you don't have that hope, what do you got? Although I know some crotchety old lady that I listen to, Dr. Laura, hope is nothing but delayed disappointment. It's one of her mantras. I live my life by her standards, by the way.
Well, and
she directs me in all things.
There's another statement my dad's made my entire life to me is hope is not a strategy.
It's not. Hope is just that. It's nothing more than wish.
Yeah, it's a wish. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that's the wish for all these hundreds of thousands of jazz fans who are so very passionate. And I would like nothing more than them to be able to experience that again, going back, over 25 years, almost 30 years now, when the Statues and Jerry Sloan led the Jazz to the NBA Finals. Forget just the conference finals, the NBA Finals. And it was a glorious time in the community, and I would love to see that, but certainly it looks like it is years away. How many years remains to be seen? But, when it happens, it's almost like you can't really believe that it's happening, because who saw the Thunder being this good? Who saw SGA being an MVP candidate? Clearly the Clippers didn't. They wouldn't have traded him for Paul George if they would have seen that. So, but the fact that you got two out-of-the-way places, doesn't that mean something? To think about this here for a second here. Either OKC or Minnesota will be in the NBA Finals. And right now, I don't hear of, and I'm not as close, we'll have on Barry Trammell tomorrow to talk about Oklahoma City. He's the longtime sports writer and media personality in Oklahoma. I don't hear of anybody on this team in OKC saying, this is a small market, I want out, there's no nightlife, what is there to do, you go live in Oklahoma City. We don't hear any of that. And have we heard any of that out of Minnesota?
Nope.
Minneapolis, where, I've known some people spent, not this past weekend, but a weekend before, with a friend from Minnesota. It's glorious there in the summer, but the winters last on and on and on. The Utes played back there in 96, was it? They played Kentucky. Mark Pope was on that team. And so they played in Minneapolis at the Dome, right, in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
We went to Dallas, and they beat, I think, Canisius and Iowa State. And then we had to go to Minneapolis, and we anticipated that it was going to be a blowout, and it was, because Pitino and that Kentucky team were really, really good, and Utah was just taking a step up at that point. They would get better in the next couple of years. But there's in the Sweet 16, and so day before the game or day of game, I'm walking around in the Mall of America, which is all that indoor stuff, and I go to a little knick-knack store to buy something for the kids or something, and I'm talking to the young gal who is behind the counter, ringing me up, right, my purchase. And we get to talk, and it turns out in the Mall of America in Minnesota, obviously, that she, the young gal, was a graduate of Hillcrest High School over there, what's it, in Midvale?
Hold on, what?
Yeah, true story. True story.
Hillcrest Husky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, where I was from, where I lived, and she says, oh, man, you guys are so lucky. And I said, what are you talking about? So this is March, obviously. It's the Sweet 16, right? And why would you say that? She said, because when you get back, you're only a couple of weeks away, 2 or 3 weeks before you start tasting spring. We still got weeks and months before we can think we have any hope of consistent spring weather. I've never been there. I mean, I've never lived there, I should say. But she was saying that, these winters are just awful compared to what we have here in northern Utah. And you always hear, the warm weather and all this stuff. Well, I haven't heard anybody in Minnesota complain. So you got guys on both sides, and they're still comprised mostly of African Americans, obviously. And that was the big knock here. Oh, yeah, it's cold. It's no nightlife, not this, not that. I say bull on that. I say today's NBA player, he wants to be in a good situation. He wants to win basketball games, and they can go get nightlife down the road or what have you. And they're not looking to just party wildly every night. I just think that's a misnomer, because in order to be a great basketball player, you have got to have a commitment to the training, to the sleep patterns, to the eating right, all those types of things that are literally required to be great.
And these guys are all regimented. We've seen it with the Jazz. You know that they put the fireplace in over there at the practice facility. They're having these guys practically live over there because they want to regiment their lives. Here's what you're going to eat. Here's when you're going to eat it. Here's how much you're going to eat. That's just the food element. You talk about the sleep patterns, PK. They are told you need to get X number of hours of sleep. Right. So, I don't think I can't say every player is as regimented as you would think they would be, but for the most part, these guys aren't, as you mentioned, out living the nightlife every single night.
So-called party animals.
No, they will go out every so often, sure.
I mean, they got time in the off-season
and that's
to do all
what
that stuff.
Jokic said last night. He said, what's your plans for the next couple of days? A lot of beers. How many beers do you think he's been drinking during the season? Probably not that many, because they're making sure that he's in peak physical condition.
Right. He's an entertaining guy. So I think it's a good sign for what we've got going here. Now, you got to get the horses, man. You got to get the players. They don't have the players yet, but sure, I guess it's better for the league if L.A. or whomever, the big markets would be in there, more people, the ratings and all that. I don't give a crap about the ratings, but I know that I'm in the minority and that it is a business and you need to have that. But the idea of that the league is slanted towards those teams. Sure, those glamour markets are just that. I get it. But I think that particularly with the proliferation of the foreign player, not really that big of a concern. So, I put that up on Facebook. Isn't this a good sign for how good of a sign is it for the league? Is it good or bad for the league? The league would probably have the others, but I don't think they do anything to get in the way of the smaller market teams. Mark, it's great. Not good for big market teams, but good for actual fans. Yeah. And Jason, I'm sure the idea of OKC versus Indiana finals has them salivating. Caleb, not good for the Jazz if Minnesota wins it? I don't know. I'm not sure. Because, these picks that they're going to get, that they got for Cleveland and they got from Minnesota, are going to be late first rounders. But how do we know they don't move some of these picks? They've already gotten involved in that. So it's hard to say. I don't know that we can judge these deals for maybe another 5 years at least, because what they can do, parlay these picks into these players and trade these players for those players, all sorts of stuff that can go on involved in it. But I find it refreshing that you're going to get, I realize OKC in a prior time has had some other guys. I understand that, but those guys are long gone. These guys are fresh. They're new. This team, I'm trying to think of anybody on the team that comes to mind that has been in this type of experience. And in Minnesota, any of these guys, have they been in these types of experiences? And I realize that Minnesota was there last year, but I'm talking about if they get to the NBA Finals. I think it would be cool. I think it would be fun to watch some new kids, and that's just what they are. Minnesota, a little bit older, but OKC, extremely young, and to have them in there, I think would be cool. It'd be fresh. I'm up for it. I don't really care who wins this series. I'm trying to figure out, do I have even the slightest rooting interest? I guess maybe Minnesota with the ex-Jazz guys. Maybe that's it. But if they don't win, I'd be just as fine seeing OKC in there because they're fun to watch. And they're a good team, obviously. You don't get to this point. They had the best record in the league, so my gosh. And it's funny to me, a lot of people, and I'm right there, have a wait-and-see. Either they disrespect the OKC Thunder or they have a wait-and-see attitude. Well, they're answering all the questions now. They're solving all the riddles as far as how good they can be. All right, stay with us. We're talking golf at the top of the hour. Coming up next, BYU. Oh, my gosh. Is he going to be gone? Is he going to play 1 year and go for 2 years? What is that all about? And they finally reveal what they're going to do with that land that is just west of the campus. There were some thoughts about a football stadium. Well, BYU's made a decision on that. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
Kurt Heelan from NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com.
Ultimately, if you're in a market this size, you need a break. And this lottery did not give it to you. And it hasn't under this new system. I mean, look, Detroit turned it around this year because they'd gotten the number one a few years back with Cade, and they made some smart moves around him. But this is the third straight year the team with the worst record has fallen to fifth. The league has to reconsider how they're doing this lottery. I get that this was a reaction to the tanking of the 76ers and the process. But if the team that's got the worst record keeps landing this deep, it's not okay. They need to do something to give these teams like Utah that are not perpetually trying to lose and give them a chance.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining us. The artist of the day, in this case the band of the day, is The Who. And why is it The Who? Pete Townsend, their guitarist, he turns 80 years old today. It's brought to you by Live Nation for all the live concerts and events in 2025. Check out livenation.com. This is ironic, Yacarino.
And why?
It's my sister's birthday today, too. But The Who, they had a song. This isn't one of them. This song that takes like 20 minutes to get into it. Get into it already. My gosh.
Bob O'Reilly, they take a minute.
Yeah. They have a song called My Generation.
Yeah.
And goes, people try to put us down just because we get around. Things they do look awful cold. Now get this line I'm about to sing, Yacarino.
Okay.
Hope I die before I get old.
Ah, there you go.
Well, I just looked it up. That song debuted My Generation in 1965. 60 friggin' years ago? Is my math correct?
That's your math, yep.
So he's 80. So when they sang that tune and released it, he was 20. And include the line, hope I die before I get old. Well, Mr. Pete Townsend, you are old. You think he wants to be dead?
You made it to old, Mr. Townsend. He's credited with writing over 100 of their songs. Obviously had a fairly fraught relationship with the other members of the band. They're actually, I just was reading this as kind of getting ready for the show, PK. They have fired their drummer twice in the past 2 months as they get ready for their farewell tour. So
their fair freaking well tour. I wonder if he's had a change of heart on that line. Hope I die before I get old.
I think he probably has.
Because you be dead if that's the case. Perspective as we grow older, it often changes from when we were younger and foolish. And speaking of young, did you all, as I try to be groovy in my language, did you all see the picture on social media of A.J. Dybantsa standing outside of a Latter-day Saint church in a suit? He went to the faith of your fathers yesterday, Yacarino.
He tagged it saying first time at LDS church.
Oh, yes.
And he looked pretty, I'll give him, he looked pretty good in that suit.
Ingratiating himself in the local culture. Can you believe that? What does this mean? Ray says, when in Rome, you go to the Catholic Church. Matt, he's called to serve in the NBA, Utah Jazz mission, 2026 to 2038.
2026. So you got 12 years?
Wouldn't that be nice? Yes. If the Jazz can get, if he ends up being what he's supposed to be. You know, sometimes we see these kids in these draft mocks and then get into the game and they're not quite as good, get it in the college game. We'll see, man. How about this? Brother Buckets, is that going to be his nickname? This kid, man, for not having put one bucket in yet, he has been a smash sensation so far. Going to the games, sitting with the student section in that, what was it, Rock they call it? What's
the Rock.
What's the Rock stand for?
Roar of Cougars.
Roar of Cougars, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, they got a great student section, no doubt about it. And he's going around to the various sections in the Marriott Center. Wow. He's got a personality, apparently, and he wants, if he's only going to be here for a few months, he wants to enjoy it. You got to give him that. Excited to see. I'm sure he's going to be involved in, he's on campus now. He's probably going to be doing some summer competitions that's going to take him away and then come back, get ready to go in August. They're practicing. In fact, they're starting practice in 2 minutes. 8 o'clock.
Yes. Yeah, and they've been practicing for a couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
The funny thing about this is with the roster, this time last year, PK, they had maybe half of what they have currently in terms of numbers of guys. Kevin Young, he had to put together that roster on the fly last year because he wasn't even hired until April. So they're far ahead of where they were a year ago in terms of just the overall bodies they have.
Oh, my gosh. What does that mean for wins? Is this going to be a beautiful winter and spring?
It means the expectations are going up and up and up.
Yeah, rightly so. I don't have any problem with that. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure on that. And I told you about the West Campus. On the BYU Twitter handle, or X, the official count for Brigham Young University, there had been some talk when they bought Provo High that they might create a new football stadium there and make it an athletic complex. Well, they come out this morning, says the Brigham Young University Board of Trustees has approved the BYU West Campus site of the former Provo High School as the location for the future BYU School of Medicine.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
It's adjacent to IHC Hospital right there, and obviously they're going to be partnering with IHC. So,
where's Provo High?
It's directly so if you're standing where that indoor practice facility is at, face directly west. It's right across University Avenue right there.
So they just moved it a little south?
What are you talking about?
The actual Provo High School.
Oh, no, the new Provo High School.
The new one.
New one's out by the lake. As I've been told, I haven't been there yet. Apparently, it's mosquito infested. You know what? Because it's out there. It's out in like the old, really kind of west side of Provo. So yeah, they relocated it that far west, and yeah, it's now officially called the BYU West Campus, and will be the home, as you mentioned, of the new BYU School of Medicine.
So they will not build a football stadium there.
Nope.
I think LaVell Edwards Stadium, at least for the time being, will stay where it is, and I'm totally fine with that because it's a beautiful location, and maybe they need to make some improvements to all that. All right, all this week, this is coming up. How about this? This is super cool. We're giving away Cody Johnson tickets all week long on DJ and PK. Tune in during the 8 a.m. hour, which is coming up, for your chance to win. I saw Cody Johnson a while back. He opened for Miranda Lambert at the Delta Center probably 2 or 3 years ago. He's a cowboy, that's for sure, and he's making his mark in country music. All right, coming up next, we're gonna do a little Dallas connection with Scotty Scheffler. Was born in New Jersey, but grew up in the Dallas area, and he won the PGA, his second major, which is actually his third because he won the Masters twice. But halfway to the Grand Slam, Bob Casper was there. He will join us next from Real Golf Radio, talking to us about what went down and what we can think about Scotty Scheffler going forward. Stay with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.